I was driving through my neighborhood the other day, and I saw a chimney sweep truck. And honestly, my first thought was just Mary
Of
Poppins.
course. Dick Van Dyke?
Yeah.
Bit of soot on the nose?
Exactly. A jaunty little song on a London rooftop. It just
Nah.
feels so quaint, like
Yeah.
it's a job from a storybook, not really part of the modern economy.
It is a lovely image. I mean, very romantic, very nostalgic. It's also an incredibly dangerous one.
Dangerous.
Because if you actually pull back the curtain on that industry, you're not going to find a musical number. You're going to find a battlefield.
That is exactly the vibe I got from the material we're covering today. It was genuinely jarring. We are doing a deep dive into a book called Suit to Success, The Master Blueprint for Business Survival by a guy named Ray Gessner. And survival is really the key word there, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It is. Gessner isn't writing a how-to guide for pushing a brush up a flue. He's writing like a treatise on blue-collar warfare. He's looking at why these businesses, which by all rights should be absolute cash cows, end up just financially slaughtering their owners. It's all about the gap between that, cute aesthetic and the brutal business reality.
The statistics he leads with, they just jumped right off the page at me. I think we need to ground everyone in these numbers first, because they're terrifying.
Yeah.
You just assume, hey, everyone has a chimney, fire is dangerous, this has to be a pretty stable gig. But the failure rates tell a completely different story.
They're staggering. Gessner lays it out so clearly. So, you start your business today, you buy the truck, the brushes, you get licensed up, you're excited. By this time next year, there's a 20% chance you just don't exist anymore. 1 in 5 wiped out. Instantly.
Okay, but, playing devil's advocate here, the first year of any business is tough. That's sort of the infant mortality phase of being an entrepreneur, right? What happens if you make it through that first winter?
It doesn't get much better. By year 5,
Yeah.
it's a coin flip, 50% attrition. But the real kicker, the one that should make anyone pause before they go out and buy a ladder, is the 10-year mark. By year 10, 65% of the people who started out with you are gone.
Wow.
Bankrupt, closed down, or they're back working for someone else.
2/3. That is heavy. That's not just bad luck. That feels systemic. So the mission for this deep dive isn't just about cleaning chimneys. It's to figure out what is killing that 65%. Why is the mortality rate so incredibly high in a trade that seems, on the surface, so essential?
And here's the cool part. We're not just guessing. We aren't, just philosophizing about it. We have a government survey. It's from the Division of Labor. And they asked thousands of failed business owners one very, very simple question.
What's that?
Why did you fail?
So we literally have the autopsy report.
We do. We have the top 9 reasons they gave. But here's the twist, and this is why Gessner's book is so valuable. We're going to list the excuse, the reason the business owner gave for their failure, and then we're going to contrast that with Gessner's reality check. Because usually, the reason someone lists on a survey is just a surface-level symptom. The real disease lies much, much deeper.
I love that. So we're basically playing business detectives here. We're peeling back the excuses to find the root cause. It reminds me of that saying, the truth will set you free, but first it will tick you off.
Exactly. And a bit of a warning to you listening, some of these are going to be uncomfortable. Gessner talks a lot about leadership, discipline, and grit. He doesn't let you off the hook by blaming the economy or the weather.
No.
He forces you to look in the mirror.
Okay, let's do it. Let's get into it. The Division of Labor survey. Reason number 1. The absolute biggest reason cited for business failure, coming in at a whopping 42% of respondents. They said, no market need.
No market need. It sounds so definitive, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like, I built a great business, but nobody wanted the product. It's like trying to open an ice cube store in Antarctica. If there's no need, you can't succeed. But Gessner calls foul on this one immediately, doesn't he?
He does. He argues that in the chimney trade, and honestly in almost any home service trade, saying there's no market need is just a fundamental misunderstanding of the industry itself.
How so?
It's arguably statistically impossible. I mean, look, people have homes. Those homes have heating systems. Things break. Things get dirty. They become fire hazards. The need is physics. It doesn't just go away because you aren't getting phone calls.
So if the need is there, why do 42% of people feel like it just vanished? Why do they feel like they're shouting into a void?
Because they're confusing market need with constant demand. They're looking at a seasonal curve and mistaking the valley for the end of the world.
Ah, Okay. Let's unpack that distinction because I think a lot of people fall into that trap. They assume a business should be a straight line, always up and to the right.
Chimney sweeping is inherently seasonal. It's not a flat line of demand at all. You have a massive peak in the winter when, everyone's using their fireplaces, and then you have this deep, deep valley in the spring and summer when nobody is even thinking about heat.
So the failure happens because the owner expects the phone to be ringing in July just as much as it did in December.
Precisely. They treat a seasonal trade like it's a year-round constant, and then when the phone stops ringing in April, they panic. They look at the silence and say, oh no, the market's dried up. There's no need anymore. And they fold.
That seems like such a tragic, unforced error. It's not that the market died, it's just sleeping. So what's the solution? How do the survivors handle that dead zone? Because you can't just sit on your hands for 6 months.
No, you can't. The survivors don't sit around waiting for winter. They diversify. Gessner calls this the eggs in one basket error.
Yeah.
If your only skill is pushing a brush up a flue, you are going to starve in the summer. It's that simple.
So they stack skills. I like that phrase.
The smart operators, the ones who make it past that 10-year mark, they stack skills.
But again, playing devil's advocate, the book mentions things like roofing or pressure washing. Isn't that easier said than done? I mean, if I'm a chimney expert, I'm not necessarily a roofer. I don't have that specific training. Is it really that simple to just pivot?
That is a great question, and it's where most people get stuck. They think, I can't be a roofer. That's a whole different trade.
Right.
But you have to look at your assets. What do you actually own?
Okay.
You own a truck. You own 40-foot ladders. You own safety harnesses. You have a team that is comfortable working at heights and dealing with homeowners.
So from a purely logistical standpoint, you're already 90% of the way there. You have the infrastructure.
Exactly. You're not pivoting to, say, plumbing, where you'd need a totally different tool set and knowledge base. You're pivoting to adjacent exterior trades. Think about the weather patterns. Winter ends. The fires go out. Chimney work stops. But what happens in the spring?
Rain, hail, storms.
And what does hail do?
Damages roofs.
Right. And so just as the chimney demand flatlines, the roof inspection demand spikes. If you are just the chimney guy, you miss that. You starve.
Nah.
But if you're the home exterior expert, you pivot seamlessly. You just swap out the brush for a shingle gauge.
That makes so much sense. You're using the same people, same equipment, just pointing them at a different problem that's emerging right when your main one fades.
Gessner lists a few others too. Pressure washing is a big one. Air duct cleaning, dryer vent cleaning, even light handyman work.
All things that use a ladder and a truck.
All high-margin services that fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
It turns the seasonality from what feels like a bug into a feature, almost.
Or, as you put it, from a death sentence into a design constraint.
That's it. If you know the slow season is coming and you design your business model to switch gears when the weather changes, you stabilize your cash flow. And this is key. You keep your employees working. You don't have to fire everyone in April and then desperately try to rehire them in October.
That's the key right there. Employee retention. It's hard enough to find good people. You can't afford to lose them just because you didn't have a plan for June. Okay, so that's the big one. 42% blame the market, but the reality is a failure to diversify. Let's move to number 2. This one accounts for 29% of failures. The excuse: ran out of cash.
The classic, we ran out of money.
I feel like this is the one that most people viscerally fear. You just look at the bank account one day and it's empty. But Gessner says this is a symptom, not a cause.
Right. Saying you failed because you ran out of cash is like saying a patient died because their heart stopped.
Yeah.
Well, yes, technically that's true. But why did their heart stop? Was it diet, exercise,
Well,
stress?
what led to that moment?
Exactly. And Gessner's analysis here is fascinating. He claims that most of these failed businesses actually made plenty of money.
Really? So they weren't starving for revenue, they were actually bringing it in.
They were bringing it in by the bucket load,
Yeah.
but only during the peak. And that is the trap. He calls it the peak illusion.
The peak illusion. Okay, paint a picture of that.
Imagine you're a chimney sweep in November. It's freezing outside. Everyone wants their fireplace cleaned and inspected. The phone is ringing off the hook. You are booking jobs 6 weeks out. The cash is just pouring in. It feels like a fire hose of money.
And psychologically, you feel rich. You feel invincible. You think, this is it. This is the new normal. I finally cracked the code.
Exactly. You think, wow, we've made it. The money hose is on and it's never turning off. So what do? You start engaging in what Gessner calls bad behaviors.
Like what?
You buy that shiny new truck you don't really need. You buy toys. Maybe it's a boat. Maybe a nicer personal car. You let your lifestyle creep up to match that November income.
I can absolutely see that happening. It's human nature. You work hard, you see the reward, you want to enjoy it, you want to show the world you're successful.
But then January turns into February. February turns into March. The calls, they stop. The cash flow drops by 80%. But you've already spent the November money. You've got big truck payments now. You have a high overhead. And suddenly, that valley doesn't just feel slow. It feels like a disaster.
So they didn't run out of cash because the business was bad. They ran out of cash because they mismanaged the harvest.
Harvest is the perfect word. That is the mindset shift Gessner advocates for. You have to treat the peak season like a farmer treats the harvest. You don't eat all the grain the day you cut it down. You have to store it for the winter. In this case, you store the winter cash for the summer drought.
So what are the specific tactics here? I mean, aside from just don't buy a boat, because simply saving money is hard when it's just sitting there staring at you in the bank account.
It's about aggressive, proactive prepayments. When you are flush with cash in December, pay your insurance for the entire next year. Don't do monthly payments.
Okay.
Pay for your marketing for the upcoming slow season. Buy your equipment and supplies for the next year.
So you're basically artificially impoverishing yourself during the good times so you don't have bills during the bad time.
Exactly. You build a massive buffer. And this is crucial. You have to separate your personal and business finances. Do not treat the business bank account like your personal ATM just because the balance looks high today. If you do that, you will die in the spring, period.
That is such solid advice for any freelancer or gig worker, honestly, not just chimney sweeps. If your income is lumpy, you have to be a squirrel. You have to save the nuts.
Precisely. If you fail due to cash flow in a seasonal business, it was not an accident. It was a failure of discipline.
Speaking of discipline, that brings us perfectly to reason number 3. 23% of businesses say they failed because they did not have the right team.
Ah, yes. Blaming the help. I just couldn't find good people.
Or the classic, nobody wants to work anymore. We hear this constantly.
It's the universal cry of the frustrated boss. But Gessner isn't buying it, not for a second. He puts this squarely on the shoulders of the owner.
A leadership failure.
100% a leadership failure. Specifically, a breakdown in 2 areas, training and discipline.
Okay, let's start with training. I feel like a lot of owners think, I hired an experienced guy, he should know what to do.
That is the fatal fallacy right there. He has experience, so I don't need to train him. But every single business is different. Your standards are different. Your processes are different. If you don't have a system and you don't teach that system, your employees are just guessing.
And guessing leads to mistakes.
Guessing leads to inconsistency. It leads to broken parts, angry customers, and eventually the employee gets frustrated because they feel like they can never win, so they quit. And the owner throws his hands up and says, see? Bad team. No. Bad training. You never gave them a chance.
Okay, so you need systems. But then there's the other side of that coin, discipline. And this is where the book takes a really interesting turn into ancient history. Gessner tells this story about Sun Tzu, the Chinese military strategist.
This is my favorite part of the book. It illustrates the concept of leadership so vividly.
I want you to walk us through this because when I read it, I first laughed, but then I realized how profound it actually is. So set the scene. Sun Tzu is trying to prove he can turn anyone into a soldier.
Right. So the king of Wu summons Sun Tzu. He's heard Sun Tzu's this master strategist, but he wants a test. He says, can you train anyone to be a soldier? Sun Tzu says yes. So the king says, okay, train my concubines.
He gives him the palace women, not exactly Navy SEAL candidates.
Right. It's a joke to the king. So Sun Tzu lines up these 180 women. He divides them into 2 companies. He puts the king's 2 favorite concubines in charge as the officers. He gives them all spears. And he explains the drill. When I say front, you face front. When I say left, you face left. Very simple stuff.
Okay, clear instructions. No ambiguity.
He asks them, are the instructions clear? The women say yes. So Sun Tzu beats the drum and shouts, right turn. And the women just burst out laughing. They think it's a game. They don't move an inch.
Total insubordination.
Now watch what happens. Most bosses at this point would start yelling. Sun Tzu stops. He says, and this is principle number 1, if words of command are not clear and distinct, if orders are not thoroughly understood, then the general is to blame.
He takes the blame. He owns it completely.
He owns it. He says, maybe I wasn't clear. So he explains it all again very carefully. He sets it up again. He beats the drum, left turn. And again, the women just giggle. They collapse laughing.
Okay, so now he's explained it twice. The orders are crystal clear, and they are still disobeying.
Now comes principle number 2. Sun Tzu says, if orders are clear and yet are still disobeyed, then it is the fault of their officers.
Oh boy, I see where this is going.
He orders the two favorite concubines, the officers, to be beheaded immediately.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That escalated very quickly.
The king is watching from his balcony, and he completely freaks out. He sends a messenger down saying, please don't kill my favorites. I believe you are a good general. I get the point. Sun Tzu replies, I'm the commander. On the battlefield, I do not take orders from the sovereign. And he executes them.
Brutal. So what happened with the rest of them?
He appoints 2 new leaders from the group. He beats the drum and the remaining women. They turned, they marched, they knelt. Perfect precision. Not a single sound.
Okay. That is an intense story. But we are talking about chimney sweeps here. We're not beheading technicians who are late for work. So what is the business lesson?
No, please do not execute your employees. But the lesson is about the relationship between clarity and consequences. Most business owners fail at one or both of those.
How so?
First, like Sun Tzu initially, they fail to be clear. They give vague instructions and then get mad when the result is wrong. That's the general's fault. You have to train them.
But if they are clear, if the training is perfect and they still don't follow the system,
Then there must be consequences, real ones.
like firing them.
Yes. If you allow people to laugh off your instructions, you have lost the team. You cannot have a high-performing business if you are afraid to have hard conversations and enforce your standards.
So it's that balance. Training provides the clarity, the how-to. Discipline provides the structure, the must-do, and you can't have one without the other.
Exactly. And here's the thing people miss. Avoiding those confrontations destroys morale faster than strict rules ever could. Yeah. Your good employees, they hate watching bad employees get away with murder.
That is such a huge point. If I'm doing my job right, busting my hump, and the guy next to me is slacking off and getting paid the same amount, I'm going to quit.
You'll either quit or you'll just stop working hard.
Yeah.
Either way, the business loses. Okay, moving on to reason number 4. 19% say they were beat by a competitor.
The other guy won. It sounds like they're describing a sports match where the ref made a bad call or something. It wasn't fair. They got lucky.
Total victim mentality, it is. And Gessner says, competitors do not win by accident. They win because they understand the battlefield better than you do.
We are back to the business is war theme.
We are. Sun Tzu again, right?
Yeah.
If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. The problem is, most business owners have their heads in the sand. They don't study the enemy. They think it's rude or something.
That's interesting. I think a lot of people feel like spying on the competition is unethical. But what should they be looking for? If I'm a business owner, how do I study the enemy without being a creep?
It's not about digging through their trash. It's open source intelligence. Look at their website. Is it better than yours?
Is the messaging clearer?
Look at their pricing strategy. Are they the premium option or the budget option? Read their reviews and pay special attention to the bad ones.
The bad reviews seem like a goldmine of information.
They are. If you see 10 reviews for your competitor saying they never call me back, you know exactly what your marketing strategy needs to be. We answer every call live. That is a gap in their armor you can exploit immediately.
So you're not fighting them head on, you're flanking them. You're attacking where they are weakest.
Exactly. But Gessner also warns against passivity. Being friendly with competitors is fine. It's a small industry. You see them at trade shows, you have a beer, that's all good. But you cannot let that friendship make you soft.
Right.
If you let them win because you're too lazy to update your marketing or too scared to match their latest innovation, that is just suicide by inaction.
It's not about being mean, it's about being competitive. You didn't lose because they were lucky. You lost because you stopped studying the battlefield and fighting for your position.
You stopped evolving,
Right.
and the market punishes that.
Let's talk about money again. Reason number 5. 18% failed due to pricing and cost issues.
This is usually phrased as, I couldn't make the numbers work, or costs just go too high.
Gessner identifies 2 main drivers here. One is just uncontrolled costs, the slow bleed of subscriptions and waste.
Yeah.
But the second one is fascinating. He calls it fear-based pricing.
This is a huge psychological trap.
Yeah.
And it usually happens to what Gessner calls the absentee owner.
The absentee owner. Describe that person for us, because I think we've all met someone like this.
This is the owner who decides they are too good to be on the truck anymore. They stop working in the field before the business is financially stable enough to support a non-producing owner.
Okay.
They sit in the office or at home. They want the title of CEO, but they don't have the revenue of a corporation yet.
So they're drawing a salary but not actively generating income for the business.
Right. And here's the death spiral. Business gets slow.
Hmm.
The owner, because they are disconnected from the actual work, starts to panic. They feel helpless. They aren't out there fixing it themselves. So what's the only lever they think they can pull?
Price.
Price.
Yeah.
They tell their sales team, or they decide themselves to just lower the price. Just get the job.
Yeah.
We have to keep the guys busy, bid low.
They're bidding out of desperation, not out of a sound calculation of their costs and margins.
Exactly. They're destroying their own profit margins just to see activity. The trucks are running, the guys are busy, but they're bleeding money on every single job.
What's the rule then?
Gessner's rule here is harsh, but it's necessary. Until the business is truly deeply successful, with deep reserves and perfect systems, the owner is the highest value producer in the company.
Meaning the owner should be the best chimney sweep on the team.
Yes. When times get tough, the owner shouldn't be hiding in the office staring at spreadsheets. They should be the first one back on the truck. They should be out there generating revenue, setting the pace, and showing the team how it's done. If you hide from the work, your fear will dictate your pricing, and you will fail.
That leads right into reason number 6. 17% failed because of a poor product offering.
This was a little tricky. Poor product sounds like a marketing issue, like, oh, people just didn't want the widget we were selling.
But in a service industry, the product is the work itself.
Exactly. Gessner translates this for us. Poor product almost always means poor workmanship. You did a bad job.
And bad jobs lead to the silent killer of all service businesses, the callback.
The callback, the most expensive word in the entire trade.
Break down the math of a callback for us. Why is it so deadly? I think people assume, oh, I just have to go back and fix it. It'll only take an hour.
It's never just an hour. Okay, let's run the numbers. You go to a house to clean a chimney. You get paid, let's say, $300. But your technician rushes it. He leaves a mess, or he doesn't clean the smoke shelf properly. The customer complains. You have to send the technician back.
So now you're paying for gas again. You're paying the technician for his travel time again.
And crucially, and this is the part people miss, that technician isn't doing a new paying job during that time. That hour he spends driving back and fixing the mistake is an hour he isn't generating $300 somewhere else.
The opportunity cost.
It's massive. So you've paid double the labor, double the gas, you have zero new revenue, and you have the opportunity cost of the lost job. You're basically paying twice to get paid once.
And that doesn't even count the damage to your reputation.
Right. You've almost certainly lost that customer's trust forever, so no chance of referrals. If you have too many callbacks, you will go bankrupt, even if your book's solid. You're just spinning your wheels in the mud.
It's like trying to fill a bucket that has a giant hole in the bottom. Gessner also mentions an ignorance of profit centers here. This was interesting knowing where the real money is in the business.
This goes right back to the skill stacking we talked about earlier. In the chimney world, the sweeping, the basic cleaning, that's just the entry point. It keeps the lights on, it pays the gas bill.
But that's not where the profit is.
Not at all. The real profit is in masonry repair, rebuilding crowns, tuck-pointing brick, relining flues. That is high-skill, high-margin work.
So if you're just a cleaner and you can't diagnose or fix the crumbling bricks you find, you're leaving the biggest check on the table every single time.
You are. You're doing the hard, dirty work for pennies while leaving the skilled, profitable work for your competitor who comes in behind you. You have to know where the margin lives. If you can't execute the high-value work, you will starve, even if you are busy cleaning.
Okay, reason number 7, and this is where we get a bit futuristic. 17% said they lacked a business model.
Gessner has absolutely zero patience for this excuse. He calls it silly.
Why silly? It seems like a valid concern for a new entrepreneur. I just don't know how to structure this thing.
Because he says a turnkey model already exists. You do not need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to sit down with a blank sheet of paper and try to figure out how to run a modern service company. The blueprint is there for you.
He specifically mentions chimneysweeps.com as this business in a box. And I was looking at the feature list of what they offer, and it's genuinely impressive how much tech is involved now. This isn't just a guy with a ladder and a notebook anymore.
It's really, the future is now a segment of the industry. The technology that's available to a small business owner today is mind-blowing. And I think for a lot of old-school tradesmen, this is where they get uncomfortable. They trust their hands, not the computer.
But let's look at the operational leverage it gives you. The one that blew my mind was the AI defect diagnosis.
This is a total game changer for training and for consistency.
How does that actually work in the field?
So you have a new technician, he's on a roof, he looks down a flue and he sees a crack. Maybe he thinks it's fine, maybe he thinks it's catastrophic. He's guessing based on his limited experience.
Right.
But with the AI tool, he just snaps a photo, he uploads it. The system scans that image against a database of thousands and thousands of defects.
It's like a radiologist looking at an X-ray.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
It identifies the exact crack type, it cites the specific NFPA figure code violation, and, this is the magic part, it suggests the repair cost.
That is incredible. So even if you have a newer guy who might miss something, the AI is the safety net. It ensures nothing gets overlooked.
Exactly. It standardizes the diagnosis across your whole team, and it removes the salesman stigma. The technician isn't trying to upsell the grandma on a repair she doesn't need. He's showing her a third-party objective report. Ma'am, the computer flagged this as a potential fire hazard. It builds trust instantly.
And then you have AI agents, texting agents that book appointments automatically. This has to help with the seasonality problem too, right?
Yes. The system knows if your schedule is slow. If it's light, the AI starts automatically texting past customers to drum up business. Hey, it's been a year. Time for your annual checkup. If you're slammed, it throttles back. It manages the flow so you don't have to.
And it creates the reports.
Automated PDF reports for the client.
Yeah.
Professional with photos included, estimates attached. It makes a one-man operation look like a Fortune 500 company.
And there's a structured training program in there too, the Certified Chimney Inspector program.
Right. A 250-question test written by a licensed engineer. This isn't just watch a YouTube video and you're good. It's real, verifiable certification.
So Gessner's point is, for something like $500 to $1,500 a month, you can have a marketing department, a training department, and an operations manager all automated. So saying you lack a model is just admitting you didn't even look for one.
It's a choice. At this point, failure here is a choice to ignore the tools that are sitting right in front of you. If you're still doing everything on a clipboard, you are choosing to fail.
Let's move to reason number 8. 14% failed because they lacked marketing.
Again, a misnomer. Usually they didn't lack marketing. They spent money on marketing. They just lacked effective marketing. They threw money at a wall to see what would stick.
I feel like a lot of small business owners treat marketing like a slot machine. They just put money in and they pull the lever and they hope a customer comes out.
And that is gambling, not marketing. Gessner is an expert here. He spent millions on ads to learn these specific numbers. He says you must know the math. Specifically, you have to know your ROI.
So what are the benchmarks? If I'm running a service business like this, what should I be willing to pay for a customer?
In the chimney trade, Gessner says the target customer acquisition cost, or CAC, should be between $30 and $50.
Okay, $30 to $50. That's the target.
If you're spending $100 to get a customer and you're only making $150 on the cleaning, you're in deep trouble. You're basically working for free. If you don't track that number, your cost per lead, your cost per book job, you are flying completely blind.
You have to track it. You can't just say, I spent $5,000 on Google Ads. You have to be able to say, I spent $5,000 and I got 100 jobs for a CAC of $50.
Exactly. And if you can't do that math, stop spending money until you can. Bad marketing is a liability. It will drain your cash reserves faster than almost anything else.
All right, we are down to the final reason. Number 9, another 14% failed because they ignored customers.
This one sounds complex, right? Like maybe they had bad customer service policies, or they didn't honor their warranties, or the technicians were rude.
But the reality is so much simpler and so much more frustrating.
They didn't answer the phone.
That's it. That seems way too simple.
That is 90% of it. They let it go to voicemail.
The voicemail fallacy.
We all do it. You're busy, you're on a roof, you're driving, you're at dinner. You see a call come in from an unknown number. You think, I'll let it go to voicemail. I'm a professional. I'll call them back in 20 minutes when I'm done.
That seems reasonable. You can't answer the phone while you're holding a brush inside a chimney.
It seems reasonable, but it is fatal to your business. Because that customer on the other end, they're holding their smartphone. They Googled chimney sweep near me. They called the first number on the list you. You didn't answer. Do you think they patiently leave a message and sit by the phone waiting for your call back?
No. They hang up and they call the second number on the list.
Immediately. Modern customers have zero patience. They're not loyal to you. They don't even know you yet. They're loyal to speed. They're loyal to whoever answers the phone first. By the time you call them back 20 minutes later, they've already booked an appointment with your competitor.
So that voicemail didn't save the lead for you. It actively cost you the job.
Exactly. Gessner's mandate on this is absolute. You must answer the phone, whether it's you, your spouse, a staff member, or an AI answering service. 100% of calls must be answered live.
It's not an interruption of your work. It is the work.
It is the revenue. Without that call, there is no work. You can be the best chimney sweep in the entire world, but if you don't pick up the phone, you will go broke.
Wow. We have covered a lot of ground. I mean, from the seasonal death trap to Sun Tzu's discipline to the simple, brutal act of just picking up the phone.
It's a masterclass in practical business. And when you look at all 9 of these reasons together, a really clear theme emerges.
What's the synthesis here? What's the common thread?
Notice what wasn't on the list.
What?
The economy, bad luck, the government, taxes. The reasons for failure were almost entirely internal.
Lack of discipline.
Lack of math.
Lack of adaptability.
Lack of training.
That's actually empowering in a way. It means failure isn't some external force that happens to you. It's avoidable.
Precisely. The market didn't kill these businesses. The owners did. Which means if you change the owner's mindset and behaviors, you save the business.
And that brings us back to the resources available. We mentioned it before, but for anyone in this trade or even thinking about it, the blueprint is right there at chimneysweeps.com. You don't have to guess anymore.
Use the tools. Use the AI. Use the training programs. Don't become part of that 65% who fail because you are too stubborn or too proud to ask for help.
I want to leave the listeners with one final thought. You mentioned the owner-operator paradox earlier.
Yes. I think this is the most provocative takeaway from the entire book. The moment a business owner thinks they are too good to do the basic work, too good to answer the phone, too good to climb the ladder, too good to check the books themselves, is the exact moment the business starts to die.
Success requires getting your hands dirty.
Literally and metaphorically.
Yeah.
The best generals are the ones who are willing to sleep in the mud with their troops. Don't ever forget that.
That's it for this deep dive. Go check out Soot to Success by Ray Gessner. It's a wild read. We'll see you next time.
Stay safe out there.